Next movie they're gonna make is gonna be about how Jarrett was saving all those children from the evil Subway franchise.
Oh God! And that's how our stream starts. Thanks, buddy.
That's not going to get us a strike. They don't know who Jarek is.
The troll. He was saving those children from the troll.
Yeah.
From the drow, yeah.
Or the space monkeys.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad they lost 60 million. I mean, I feel bad for the day-to-day workers at Wizards of the Coast.
So yesterday they had a 75% off sale at my local hobby shop.
Mm-hmm.
I got Pathfinder books they had for like $100. I am going to run a Pathfinder 2e game.
It had so much potential, man. Why did it die out, man? Like, Pathfinder 2e died, and I don't know why.
I mean, I can tell you, I thought it sucked.
We tried it when it first came out, dude. There's been a lot of books since then now.
Yeah, but I don't see how they could fix that magic system.
Okay, yeah, the magic system was really point. Magic system was pretty badly messed up, man. They took support magic out of the whole equation.
Take support magic out, where everybody else is getting all these attacks. Your spells take 2-3 actions to cast. Sometimes you have to overlap them into multiple rounds, and
fighters are running around executing like, watch this cool move. You're over there like, 2d6. I'm gonna haste you. What does that do? +1. What's 1? Man, I get that when I just smile a little bit before I throw a kick. Like, yeah, the bonuses, man. I gotta admit, the buff and support spells are completely trash, and the debuff spells, just trashed in that game. It became a just throw out damage spells and wish you were a fighter. That's what you do. You wish you were someone else as you throw out your damage spells. But other than that, it was great to be a fighter or a rogue. I mean, all the other classes were awesome. As long as you weren't a spellcaster, you were doing pretty good.
Yep. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Dicejunkies. I'm Xenodamus. I'm here with
Q. And
on Skype,
we got Bloodaxe.
All right, let's get started. First up, where do we want to start? I guess we'll since I was hating on Microsoft's Game Pass the other week, I'll throw out some more Microsoft disappointment.
So when I'm not around, you be talking crap about Game Pass, huh?
Oh, you were here then. It was like
good.
2 weeks ago.
Stop hating.
And you even agreed with me in parts.
I do need to get rid of my PC when I'm not using it.
But Starfield will be $70 as Microsoft confirms new gen price hike. Basically, they're falling in line with the rest of the a lot of other gaming companies that putting their AAA games at a starting price of $70 from previous $60, so a $10 price hike will be coming to Xbox games next year, which is right around the corner. What do you think, Q?
Well, like I said, it's been being done for a while, so I knew it was coming. I mean, my overall feeling on the price hike in general, not just Xbox, is that I don't think it's worth it. They're not paying their game designers anymore. We know that. They're not treating them worth the dang, and the price of making games isn't really going up. So is the price hike necessary? No, they're just doing it because they hadn't done it in a while. I mean, they basically almost said that. Man, we haven't increased the price of games in a long time. Okay, that's not to me a reason to increase it. If you don't have to, don't. But do I care about Starfall? Starfall's coming to me on Game Pass anyway, so.
Yeah, Starfield,
excuse me. But, like, it was going to happen.
Well, and
nobody's not going to do it.
You say, I mean, we say there hasn't been a price hike in games in so many years, blah, blah, blah. But that's a bit of I mean, it's not false, but it's not true either. Because yes, the core price of games have not risen, but we've increased DLC prices, we've increased the amount of DLC, the size of DLC has shrunk a lot, so there's micro transactions that a lot of games. Now if you tell me, okay, if you pay $70 for this game, that's it, There's not going to be, there may be an expansion or something come out later. But as far as all these little micro things, no, the game comes with the fucking pieces of the game. Then I would say, all right, no, $70 sounds great. If I'm not having to constantly deal out more money unless you come out with a pretty big expansion, all right, I'd be fine with the $70 price hike. But if you do the $70 price hike and you still try to micro transaction me after that $70, I'm going to be a bit annoyed.
The big problem is that what this is going to do for that other stuff, because like I told you, I said now then when you tack on the deluxe or expanded edition, that's going to be well over $100 freaking dollars.
Well, we've been seeing deluxes and special editions going over $100 for a while now. Some of the deluxe and special editions have been twice the price. Now a lot of those come with like physical objects with them. So,
but the tradition is usually $10 to $20 higher. But now that's going to be
you
like
usually see $10 to $20 higher for like the digital deluxe. Mm-hmm. The physical deluxes lately have been over the $100 range.
Well, it's going to get even higher now. That's what I'm saying. Like you said, it's the price of some of these games for the big bad. I know what this is going to do for a lot of people, though. They're going to lose money in a way because I definitely would not buy season passes up front now because I'm already cracking $10 extra now, and I'm not spending $100 on the game unless I got a real good reason.
Yeah, and you got to think,
season passes are
$30. Usually about $30. Yeah.
So I'm not going to order another season pass. Period. Probably. I'm just going to have to wait, and I'm going to start picking, and that's going to make them lose money. Because let's be honest, when's the last time you ordered a season pass and everything you got in the season pass was something you would have bought? Usually, you get one or two things that you like and something that's trash. Now you're going to probably pick it out. And I've got the patience to wait for a game to drop in price. You've seen me do it. I'll wait. So I might just not buy a lot of games new anymore. I might just let them knock down. I'll let that $70 fall off and let it drop down 10, 20%. And a lot more people may start doing it. May go like, okay, you go up, we'll buy it after it's been out for a month.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted by the massive misspellings in the chat room on Baldur's Gate. Cute Bloodaxe. It's not Boulder. I can tell you that.
It's not Baldur's either.
Correct. I am putting BAULDER, but my computer's auto-correcting the spelling.
The computer's stupid.
Because that isn't what Baldur's Gate is. But I had three comments on the Starfield price hike. Number one, we really haven't seen a price hike probably in about 15 years for a standard price of a game. We have seen some decreased in prices like Aliens Fireteam and Dark Alliance. Those were $40 games. And then I thought that was appropriate because they weren't AAA games and the replayability was relatively low. So I think, that's appropriate. If you're going to charge $70, you better have a AAA game. It better have high replayability and be fun. That's my main point. Number two is you also have to think about right now from just an employee perspective. It's an employee's market, so you're able to demand higher salaries, and that compensation is going to have to be passed on with the product.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to charge higher for your product just because the development team is now probably making 10 to 20% more money than what they were making just 5-6 years ago. But the third thing, and I don't know how the contract is worked out, but you got to realize it's coming on Game Pass. So Q and me and you and whoever plays it, they're not going to be paying $70. We're going to be paying our $15 monthly subscription fee or whatever, or as part of our console purchases. So we're not going to be paying that. So the people that buy it, whether it be on Steam or on Xbox that don't have Game Pass, they're going to want to still recoup a little bit more money, and by charging an extra $10, that's going to help offset some of the costs for those of us that aren't even going to pay to play it. So those are the three things that I just wanted to make sure that I throw out there before we move on to the next topic.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I said, I think a lot of that should be covered in all these microtransactions and stuff like that. But I understand Starfield probably won't be much of a microtransaction type game, though they probably will have Creators Club, which will try to nickel and dime you for some mods here and there. but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, definitely the wages and the inflation and all that stuff, blah blah blah, has definitely increased the cost, and maybe it needed the price hike, but I just feel like you've been getting a lot of money from us from other directions as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we continue on to the next part of that, I will say, big fan of Baldur's Gate to the chat room. I haven't played the third one yet. I've heard some good things, but I mean, I'm trying to just hold off until it gets out of that beta stage and everything, because I want to play it, enjoy it, and actually not have to deal with bugs and constant tweaks to the system. So, I'm looking forward. I am looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3 though. It should be pretty fun. All right. So next we'll look at more Microsoft stuff, and that is the FTC complaint about Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition. So apparently the FTC has now gotten involved, which a lot of people say, you know, they're just accusing that Microsoft may do what Sony's already doing. Yeah.
They've been paid off. I'll say it. I don't care. I accuse FTC of being bought off by Sony.
I mean, you've had it come from Nintendo too. Sony and Nintendo have both said stuff about certain games now. I think Blizzard or Microsoft even told Nintendo, look, we'll make sure Call of Duty's on your system for 10 years if we can get this through, you know. And then Sony, right, I think, made like some comments about, I don't even think the Switch can play Call of Duty, you know. And it's like, do you not know how software works and image sizing? And it's like, you can make it play. You just have to do some downgrading on certain image rendering.
I mean, the biggest thing about this is that when we're looking at the big dog picking on a smaller company, Sony still has the majority of the gaming market. So how can you keep claiming this against the person? They're talking about it's not going to be competitive. I'm like, motherfucker, Sony already has the big and dominant. This is Xbox trying to compete, and you're not letting them compete.
We'll talk about the God of War Ragnarok game of the year here in a bit. So yeah, Sony
game barely been out.
Yeah.
No, it's like you're eliminating competition, and the FTC. That's why I accuse the FTC of being bought out and sold, because they're trying to stop competition. They're trying to stop another console from getting to the point where it can compete with Sony. They are perpetuating the lack of competition by supporting the majority holder. That is so immoral that I wouldn't be surprised if you find out that, like I said, they just like Disney and freaking Rotten Tomatoes. You know, like there's some employee sharing there. Some guys that work with Sony happen to be working over there, because that's just so shady. I mean, the easiest way to defeat any argument about a monopoly being accused on you is if you're not the monopoly, if you don't have it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, how do you get accused of being the monopoly when you don't have the majority? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. And like I said, I mean, with the current, I might complain if it was a different company. I will say I don't really like the whole massive buyouts and all that stuff. But Activision needs to be bought out, man. They're in such a horrible state, mismanagement. Which we got a story on that too coming up with the Diablo 4. They need somebody to come in there and fix some shit, you know. Close the Cosby Room and, you know, move on from that generation.
But they changed some paintings in World of Warcraft, so it's all okay now.
Yeah,
we changed some background paintings that nobody was looking at, so it's fixed. They've solved sexism and workplace abuse.
We made all our game players sign a
"Don't be mean"
contract.
Even though the players didn't have a Cosby rule, it wasn't no dang players.
Yeah.
The employees weren't going, "Hey, the players made us crawl through people's legs and under desks." No, but hey, obviously the problem is you.
All right, but yeah. So, what do you got, Blood?
Well, no, I just think it's really hypocritical for Sony to be pushing back on this to the point where the FTC is actually saying, "Hey, we need to look into this." But based on my research and things I've read, it looks like it's a pretty flimsy case. Because even in their complaint, they're saying that the acquisition of an independent company is causing problems. Dude, they're an independent company. Independent companies get acquired and split apart all the time. So I really don't think there's going to be a block of the acquisition, so to speak. But it almost reminds me of the time when Sony was purchasing Fox, and the fallout and pushback other movie studios were doing with that whole bit. But I think it's going to go through, and I agree with you, Zeno, that the mismanagement has caused a lot of problems with Blizzard, and I think changing the whole dynamic and the hierarchy and structure would be good for a company that, in all honesty, a lot of us grew up playing Blizzard games, whether it be Diablo, Warcraft, or StarCraft. I mean, those were very, very good games that have kind of fallen on hard times. Well, Diablo is still pretty successful, but the other ones, we haven't seen a new Warcraft game in a while, except for the online version. I loved Warcraft 3.
Yeah, they tried to do that remastered of the third and just ruined a lot of stuff.
So I hope that it goes through and they do something with those franchises so that we can go back and playing fun games. Because I'd love to be able to play Warcraft or StarCraft with you guys. But we'll have to wait and see.
I would love to see the strategy side of Warcraft and StarCraft to sort of reemerge. I would love to see some of those StarCraft ideas that never got finished. Like I think it was Ghost.
I'd like to see a more action RPG version of Warcraft that played more like a God of War or Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fun. Get in there, get a little more hands-on with the play style.
I mean, the thing is they've got a world, they've got a in-depth history for both Diablo and World of Warcraft or Warcraft in general, and with those two massive world building opportunities, you can do things like, well, let's do an RPG game in this setting. Let's do an action game in this setting. I mean, that's something I don't see done, I think, enough. You've seen it. I've seen it in a few franchises where they've sort of played. They've had a world and they've played different games off that world. I mean, hell, Bethesda tried to do it. They did a couple of action games. They went horribly, action adventure. But
they tried to do an arena game. It was so bad.
Oh, so the Red Guard?
Yeah.
Oh, Red Guard was bad. That was their adventure version of Skyrim. Anyway, but it's doable.
Like arena action, but it was. Ooh.
It's doable.
They did a crappy mobile. We can't just say Diablo Immortal. There was a bad Elder Scrolls mobile.
Oh.
Now, they didn't do it in place of a sequel. They still had proper games. You weren't waiting on Diablo 4. And they said, Elder Scrolls.
Now here's an idea that would be cool for Microsoft. Now, if you get this stuff, all right, we have companies that are renowned for open world RPGs. I mean, Bethesda. That's been their stick for a while. Oblivion or Obsidian. Obsidian's done pretty good with some open world RPGs.
Well, it ain't sci-fi. I'm still not happy about Outer Worlds.
Instead of utilizing these companies necessarily on the same, what if you took all your IP world building and design and then made different companies use their specialty to do a game on that. So let's say you have Bethesda do a Diablo role-playing open world game, you know? So, I mean, that's
they got
the cool,
some good necromancy.
yeah, that's the cool
Diablo.
thing about them getting a lot of these IPs and with these companies is if they're willing to stir the pot a little bit, I think they come up with a lot of cool things.
I would love an action RPG where I could play as a Tauren with that totem. Run around, hit the button. Boom, boom.
As far as the exclusivity goes between I mean, I'm relatively against exclusivity generally, but I do understand the necessity when you're trying to sell your console that you sort of need that game.
But the number of top franchises, like they said in the article, Last of Us, God of War, Uncharted, massive award-winning game of the year at times, Last of Us and Last of Us 2, big franchises owned by Sony, nobody says anything. Microsoft wants to buy Call of Duty, they pee in their pants, and I'm just like, this is a payoff, man. FTC crooked. They're crooked as hell. I have now put them on my list.
Well,
They're on this list of crooked.
Let's not even look at the franchises that, all right, they were always exclusive to PlayStation, like Last of Us, you know. Let's look at the franchises like Final Fantasy that gets PlayStation exclusives and stuff like that, which hasn't always been. Because
we just talked about that. They got another game that's coming out exclusive.
That's more
they're doing it while they're complaining.
Yeah, that's more the relation here. Is those games that weren't always exclusive, those franchises that weren't always exclusive, going exclusive, but they're not free of that sin either. You know, they buy.
No, they did it. We covered a game. Like, here's what's getting me. Sony is still doing it while they're pointing their finger. They're going, they shouldn't. That's a monopoly. Final Fantasy, yeah, get them money. Yeah, man. And like, they're doing it while they're complaining. Yeah. They're looking you in the eye saying, you know, drugs are bad. You know, over here, you know what I'm saying? Like Cat Williams say, I can see you. I'm looking at you just doing a line while saying drugs are bad, kids. And you're just like, that's Sony. Like, they're not even willing to stop doing it while the case is going on. Could you at least stop doing the thing while you're complaining? I remember sometime I saw a skit where a dude was breaking the law in the courtroom. They can you stop breaking the law while we're trying you? That's Sony. They're literally trying to do this, and they're still committing the crime themselves.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, though, and we'll move on to some happy news, maybe. If you're a fan of Hades.
That was a good series, man. Hades is awesome.
Yeah. Then they have announced a Hades 2. Now, I mean, I was a fan. I enjoyed it. I don't have a lot of complaints from what I'm seeing here. Probably my biggest complaint I have looking at the Hades 2 is they switched the MC over to the sister of the MC from the first one. But
that clashes with the story of the first game a lot. Like, I thought it was going to be Zagreus' daughter, which would work.
I was hoping it'd be more of here in the future,
his daughter. But the whole existence of a child of Hades was a really big deal. And now there's just another one. See what I'm saying? It's like the whole thing, it feels very odd. Plus, she's too much like Zagreus. I mean, she's basically just a female Zagreus. Barring her unique arm, she is practically a carbon copy of the character, which I would have liked. You got better writers in this. You could have did a little more to that. I would have liked to have seen, the next generation would have been interesting. Half Fury, half Zagreus, but apparently they're doing a whole nother thing, and I don't know where this fits in the timeline, because the problem now is where's Zagreus? Because if Hades has been captured, where's Zagreus? Where the heck is he? You know what I mean? So it's like,
and I mean, we'll see more.
But it looks fun.
As it comes out. Good. I mean, it's more of the same gameplay style. So,
but this is just story problems. Like, the game looks great, and these guys are really good writers. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it feels like this is going to take a little bit of finagling.
Yeah.
They've created a problem. Now, can they fix it? I believe they can. These people made Bastion. By the way, how much? Now, I'll tell you, I've been twice excited this has been Bastion, too. I really want a sequel to that game. I love Bastion. But they created a bit of a story conundrum. I'm curious how they're going to fix it. I trust them. But at the same time, I have no idea. They're going to have to pull some finagling.
And like I said, that's the only negative I really have, because that threw me a little bit storyline-wise. Did you play any of the Hades games, or the Hades game, Bloodaxe?
I played a little bit of it because it is a roguelike game, and I do enjoy some roguelikes, but Hades was one of the ones that apparently I just had problems with the game mechanics. I know Q raved about it, so I tried it, and I tried it a couple of times, and I would love to have gone further in the story, but my skill set just didn't mesh well with how the game played. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to complete it. But I did enjoy what I did play. But like I said, it's one of those games that I just couldn't get down. In order to play further into the game. So,
well, you're a Dead Cells veteran. You mastered Dead Cells. You're a side scroller king.
Well, yeah, and the top down was a completely different mechanic, but yeah, the side scroller. I grew up on Castlevania and some of those other games and Metroid, so the side scrollers are more in line for me. But Hades did have a really good story, because Q shared a lot of the content with me just on the phone. And I was like, man, I really would love to be able to go through all that.
The voice acting.
Look, I do have to give Q mad props, and at least you mad props for trying. When it comes to top down is one of those I absolutely cannot do with a controller. Like, if I had to do this game on the controller, like I use keyboard and mouse. Like I got it with the PC Game Pass, and I tried hooking my controller up and playing it. And I couldn't do it, man. It was the controls to me were horrid on the controller. Now, I mean, that's all Q does is controller. So I know he mastered that shit, but I couldn't do it. So I understand where you're coming from, Bloodaxe, on playing it, because I know you're a controller guy as well. I've never been able to do top down on a controller.
Yeah, and that's the rub. But that, and I think the randomization, because when I do roguelikes, I do kind of find the weapon combination that really meshes well with my play style. So in Dead Cells, I knew exactly what I needed. I mean, there was three things that I had to have, and then a fourth one. The secondary weapon was always okay. I could do this, or this. But with Hades, I'd get something that I just really couldn't do anything with.
There were also special storylines for having certain equipment.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, dude. I spent a lot of time on this game, and I used to hate when it was like I had to pull a weapon I'm bad with.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a special dialogue where like, that's the sword of a knight of King Arthur. Just like there was so much content in that game.
No, I agree. Like that was probably one of the toughest part, was feeling like you were forced to play every weapon. And I too find my weapon combination I love, and even with the randomness of the weapon upgrades, that didn't bother me that much.
It was
the weapon types.
But if you take the claws of Enkidu to beat the Minotaur, you get a story about Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Gilgamesh, man.
I know.
This game was incredible. So I'm looking forward to those kind of moments. And the voice acting was really good. So this is a rare case where, because honestly, the first thing I said, I'm just going to admit, I told him, I said, because I saw a game and I saw a female protagonist. I don't play those that often, but then I saw Hades 2 and I said, well, I better get my skirt ready. I'm getting in there because I will play a female protagonist in Hades 2.
And this doesn't bother me as much as was most RPGs and stuff like that, where it's a lot more immersive. With the roguelike games, they're not as immersive to me. They're more narrative.
You're watching someone else's story.
So that doesn't bother me that I'm playing a female protagonist. Then the only time I really don't like playing female protagonists is when I'm trying to be immersed into the character.
You're making the decisions and that, but these are preset stories. He's right. Like I followed some storylines in Hades. I won't go into it. That I surprised Bloodaxe, but I just said it was so well told. I don't care. It was a really good story. You know, it was a cute thing, and I followed through on some alternative romance options just because it was so well told. And also the game, I was watching Zagreus' story. If I make my own character, my decisions are a lot more. I've missed out on all kind of stuff in the game because I wouldn't do it. Well, like in Elden Ring, it's like, oh, you want to get this weapon, you need to kill this person. I'm not going to kill that person. He's sad. His daughter died. What kind of monster are you? These people that killed the dude while he's grieving his daughter. Because I made the character. The character's named Q. I can't do that. But Supergiant Games has some of the best music. I still listen to the Bastion soundtrack, some of the best music, best voice acting. I'm very much anticipating this game. It doesn't mean I'm going to buy it. Since the other one came on Game Pass, I may wait to see if it hits Game Pass. If it's not $70 though, like my boy here, Bloodaxe is the king of sales. If he can catch it for me on 40 or 50% off, I'll buy it. Because I don't really like roguelikes. It's just that's how good the story is, and I will eventually play it.
So, speaking of sales, I sent you a message. You didn't respond. The Handsome Jack collection is now $10. It includes Borderlands 2.
I'm so mad about Wonderlands. I'm not touching the Borderlands game for a minute, man. I spent way more hours trying to make that game work than you did.
I am about to play Borderlands 2 from start to finish again.
Yeah, I'm playing Diablo 4. That's my next.
Well, that's in March, dude.
I'll meet you at Diablo 4. Well, Dark Tide will come out eventually.
April.
Eventually.
Yeah, it'll come out in April.
So I got the Handsome Jack collection a few years ago on Steam when they accidentally put it on sale for like $3.
Hey, there you go. He can play with you.
Probably not crossplay.
No, we've crossplay, I think, before.
Don't make promises. We've never got that to work. We've had no luck with crossplay. We tried to get this man on a lot of games.
Not that company in crossplay, man. The creators of Borderlands cannot figure that shit out.
Hey, they got your money. What they worried about?
Well, yeah. All right, let's
Speaking of Diablo.
Yeah, let's move on to Diablo. So Diablo 4, big trailer hit during the Game Awards, I think, and we finally got an official release date. Of course, the trailer, just another cinematic trailer, no real gameplay.
Well, we've seen gameplay.
We've seen gameplay, but I mean, we've seen some. I wish I could see more gameplay.
There's people that have played it recently. There's videos out. They've got like hours of gameplay if you want to go watch. It pretty much looked like what we've seen.
Yeah. But yeah, so pretty gruesome. I'm not going to show a lot of this just because, I mean, honestly, the review pages I've seen actually only link to the YouTube because like most of the places wouldn't willing to host the video because of how gruesome it was. I will say there's one part where the girl's walking on hot coals and you see her flesh sticking, and that hurt a bit. So. Yeah,
I really turned to him and said she's not immune to fire. Like, she should not be down here barefoot.
But very. I mean,
honey, I'm home.
I'm really interested in this story. Like, they've given me enough story elements of Diablo 4 that I am really intrigued in the story of Diablo 4.
Is this whole story just going to be I'm gonna get you for what you did to me, like bad divorce?
Well,
yeah. Go look up who the characters are in this trailer, and you will be like, "Oh, this is going to get real."
But anyway, at the end of the trailer, they did say, all hell breaks loose 6623. So there you go.
So yeah, not March, buddy. Where'd you get this March from?
Well, March was originally the rumored date.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
I was about to say, but with Blizzard employees saying mismanagement is leading to Diablo 4 delays and crunch time, maybe it was March. Bloodaxe, you got anything on the trailer before we move into talking about mismanagement?
I'll be honest, I didn't actually see the trailer. I saw the article from the expo and I sent it to you, and I think it's the article I had June 5th.
June 6th.
So, I don't know if well, I see that here. So I don't know what's going on with the dates, but
Time zone,
Diablo
maybe.
is games that I've played since the early 90s in college. You know, I've spent hours and hours and hours with LAN parties, but with playing with buddies of mine in Diablo, Diablo 2. And then I finally got Q on Diablo 3, who's had an absolute blast playing a Necromancer, which me and Zeno have been telling him there's a phenomenal Necromancer in Diablo. And Q's like, I don't play no Diablo. And so anyway, so I'm hoping that the gameplay stays true to kind of what we've been accustomed to with Diablo. Don't do a whole lot of changes. They did some good quality of life improvements with Diablo 3. Expanding on that's fine, but I don't want to see a whole lot of changes. But the story has always been good from the first one and then the most recent Diablo 3. I thought the story had some nice twists. It kind of expanded on the mythos a lot, but it really felt like a better game with those story elements. So I'll go watch the trailer after the show because like I said, I didn't even know it was out. I've been covering NarbyCon all weekend, so I haven't slept a whole lot at all. But there will be a video that I got from NarbyCon coming up tomorrow for anyone that wants to check it out. But I am excited for Diablo. Diablo is one of the games that I am teetering on pre-ordering because, again, I don't have the attachment to it that you do, Zeno, because I know you're a huge Diablo fan, but I've played all the Diablos and I love playing Diablo as well. And I play it with my wife, played it with Q. So it is something that I'm definitely intrigued by and will definitely give it a shake, whether it be day one or shortly thereafter.
All right. So let's move on to this these I guess mismanagement. So apparently on Thursday, several anonymous Activision Blizzard employees told the Washington Post that Diablo 4's June release seems unlikely unless they cut parts of the game or there is a massive crunch period. The sources say that the title has already faced several unannounced delays. This claim bears some weight considering that leaks in November indicated the game would arrive in April. So yeah, this is coming from TechSpot, which is pulling on the Washington Post. So if you want to read more on that, you can go to either one of those. Yeah, so here they're saying maybe not even the June release. The June release may be too early. So you know, and crunch time has become sort of a cuss word in the gaming industry, which I mean I understand. I mean everybody hates crunch time. Almost every job has a crunch time at some point, but the gaming companies have been known for abusing the hell out of crunch time. You know, the death marches as so many people call them, where you pretty much don't sleep. You just sort of take naps in the office to move forward. But
like Twitter's doing right now.
Yeah. So. Oh, that's a little rough, man. How much do we trust on the June release date? What do you guys think?
I believe we're going to be playing Starfield before we're going to be playing freaking Diablo 4 is what it sounds like. And that ain't multiplayer, so let's hope Dark Tide gets their crap together so we have something to play. Jeez.
Well, I mean, Starfield's another one of those, I think, that keeps sort of inching back that...
Bethesda's usually good about getting out when they do announce a date.
Yeah, I think they released early 2023. Now it just says 2023 last time I looked, I think. So,
yeah, Starfield was supposed to be back in August of this year, and that clearly didn't happen.
Yeah, and then it got pushed to early 2023, and then last time I looked, like I said, it just said 2023 release.
Yeah, but the thing about usually games that are in this cycle of being pushed, um, they aren't as well developed as they probably should be. And we saw a lot of that in Gears 5, which probably could have used another year of development to be a less buggy game. Was it still fun? Hell yeah, it was still fun. Did it have problems? Yes, it had problems. And but if Diablo is unplayable, then no, they shouldn't release it in June. But I don't mind a game with patches and tweaks here and there, as long as the game is playable. Unlike Q's experience with Cyberpunk, it was unplayable. He just could not do it. But push it back. Give us a quality product, even if we have to wait another 6 months to a year. I would rather do that and have a better experience than have a game that is so glitchy and buggy that I just ended up just turning it off and I won't even look at it again for a year, which is similar to what happened with Borderlands 3. It was so bad, but we didn't buy it until a year later, and we had a great experience with it. Had a blast playing it.
Yeah,
and especially
I get what you're
this,
saying, but I mean,
yeah,
it kills me to think. I mean, deadlines are there for a reason. I mean, like, investors is one thing, but also we know people. Look, I have I've tried to write several books, and I'll have other people read them. They think it's great what they read, but I'm never happy with it. And I don't give myself a deadline because I'm not really a writer either, you know. So I will forever be working on these books that I have ideas on. I'll probably never finish them. And in that creative industry like video games and writing and stuff like that, deadlines are almost a necessity if you want to complete something, because there's always something else you can do. And I mean, if we get in that mindset of, well, we'll just push it back if it ain't time yet. Well, how long before it's too late? No one cares anymore. You know, you do have to put some kind of cutoff and deadline on your work and deliver a product as a business. I don't see that you can just keep pushing it back.
Well, I think it depends on the game, to be honest with you, because if it's Diablo, there's going to be hardcore players that will wait, and then you're still going to sell the game. But I think Darksiders is an example that kept getting pushed, and I don't think it was nearly as successful as it could have been if it had come out when it was expected to, because there was a lot of hype with the original release, and they pushed it back a year or two. And so we're kind of stuck on Darksiders 3. I keep waiting on Darksiders 4, and it's been years. So you're right. There are some games that will suffer because of it. But if a new Halo game gets pushed for a year, you're going to have people lining up to play Halo once it finally comes out. And then, you know, the general public is going to be, oh, a new Halo game, I'm going to check that out too. So I think the game also has something to do with the fandom's patience and willingness to wait.
Well, I mean, I get that too, but I mean, still at the same time, you still want it to eventually come out, and the sooner is the better. I mean, yeah, you could put out a Half-Life 3 tomorrow, and tons of people are going to buy it, but at the same time, if you were going to do a Half-Life 3, you probably should have done it 6 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah. Same thing with Ghost. People, you sold millions of copies in the late 90s, but now people are going, what's this game? Only a few people know what Ghost actually is supposed to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, StarCraft is a dead franchise for the most part. I mean, if you did bring back something from StarCraft, you're almost working from the bottom again.
That was so fun. I love that game. I played a couple hundred hours in StarCraft. But it's one of the, you're right. You know, you released a new StarCraft. I think the most recent StarCraft was a dud, which is unfortunate. It was PC based, so I didn't play it. But I think that is another game that you would really have to polish well, be fun, and get a lot of advertising for people to buy back into a franchise that's been dormant for almost a quarter century.
I mean, look at also Vampire Masquerade. You know, they were supposed to be coming out with the second Vampire Masquerade, got everybody hyped. They missed their window though, because all the old fans got hyped. Everybody was talking about it. New people were getting interested in it because all the old fans were talking about it, but now it still hasn't been released and nobody's talking about it anymore. So you got to be careful. Like I said, that's my only thing is I don't want to get into that mentality. Want game companies to start getting into that mentality. Well, I can just release it later. It's dangerous.
Right. It's possible for your game to end up coming out with a whimper instead of a yell if you miss your hype window. For example, after enough pushbacks, interest in Diablo 4 will cool.
Yeah, dude, Starfield. Interest in Starfield has cooled. I'm still interested in it.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but when you talked about it being pushed back, I was like,
yeah. But I mean, honestly, I was super hyped and ready for it back when it was supposed to come out in August. I'm not so super hyped and ready for it anymore. I mean, I still want to play it. I do. But I've just sort of lost interest in it and not keeping up with it as much. The only reason I keep up with it at all anymore, and probably the only reason it's still in my mind, is because of this show.
I mean, being honest, too, here's what you got to watch out with Q here, because like I said, my willingness to pay full price can cool off real fast. I'm already getting to the point where if Bethesda keeps screwing around, I'm going to wait till it goes on sale. Like, if they don't get it out by summer, I don't think I'm going to pay full price for it, man, being honest. I mean, after a while, I'll put you on what I call the back burner. And the back burner is I'll buy you when you're on sale. And my front burner is hard to get on. It ain't easy to get on my full price list. You can fall off if I get sick of waiting. Mm-hmm. And most of my hype is cooling off. I am kind of
especially with some of the games we've had lately that we were super stoked about, and they came in flat. Wonderlands, we pumped it up, came out. Dude, I uninstalled it. I have Borderlands 3 installed. I'll still play it with a buddy of mine. But Wonderlands, even Q's been trying to find reasons to get me to play that, and he's like, I got nothing.
Dude,
I uninstalled it, man.
I bought it with the season pass, and I never even played anything from the season. Because
you didn't miss
it. It was a flop, man.
Yeah.
It was a flop.
I mean, same thing.
Well, here's a perfect example of it happening in real time. Dark Tide. We were looking forward to Warhammer 40K Dark Tide. They literally delayed it the day before. The day before, they delayed the console version. Well, I don't want to play it on PC. I want to play it with Bloodaxe. So each week that passes, I'm getting less interested in the game. And what's worse is on YouTube, there were all these videos. But when they pushed that console back, the videos just started dying off. Now, by the time they put it out on console, it's gonna be like I said, we're finally here. Well, and it's like you missed your hype window when everybody was wanting to jump in, because I'm gonna be behind. Yeah. I'm gonna be way behind the PC people.
Now the issue there is also not releasing on the consoles at the same time. That's never been a really good strategy, because especially with streaming and stuff like that, a lot of people who are really wanting to see the game, they're just going to end up going and watch somebody on another console stream it, or PC or stream it. And then they're probably not going to go out there and buy the game.
Yeah, they're killing their game. And that was a really bad idea.
Yeah, when it comes out, I'm definitely going to play it, because Q's been telling me about some of the different classes and builds that really kind of fit my play style, which had me chomping at the bit last month to be able to run through and just smash people up with oh god, what was the name of the class? It was not a crusader, but it was basically a tank class, a zealot. But what's going to happen though is they're going to release Dark Tide the same week the DLC comes out for Elden Ring, which means I'll be playing it by myself. So I know Q's going to be in Elden Ring DLC.
Yeah, luckily you're lucky that it was PvP DLC that came out recently, or else I might not be here. But yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Is they're going to wait, something better is going to come out, and ain't nobody going to go back to play the dang thing on console, because they're going to have other options, like maybe Red Tide or something comes out, because they still have not announced anything. I've been looking every day.
You mean Redfall?
Redfall. But either
Yeah.
way, it's gonna completely stomp out. I got my
Yeah.
boys today. They probably tickle.
Yeah.
All right, so since we're talking about things that bring us down, let's talk about things that brought people up, and that are the games from the Game Awards 2022.
Yes.
So we just had the Game Awards pass, and Game of the Year, Elden Ring. I know Bloodaxe probably agrees with. Q probably agrees with that. Sorry. As the big Elden Ring player in the group.
Well, for 2022, man, best game.
Yeah.
It was.
God of War swung in there last minute and picked up some.
It felt real weird that they were out for such a short period of time, but managed to get best game awards.
Yeah. You need to step away? Or?
Yeah, let me find it. This is fam.
So anyway, so we had Elden Ring as the game of the year. Best narrative did get picked up by God of War along with several audio, but I mean a lot of things got picked up by Elden Ring. Now we did see outside of the big winners, which was Elden Ring and God of War, there were some smaller winners, of course, Final Fantasy XIV for ongoing game. Stray, which a lot of people were talking about, got best indie and best debut indie, which was that weird bio cat thing. Then we had best mobile Marvel Snap. I know nothing about that. Surprise with best action with Bayonetta 3. Did not see that one coming. But when we looked at the nominations, there really wasn't a lot in that category.
There's a lot in that category I never heard of before.
Yeah. I mean, similar to Multiverses being the best fighting, I think it was the only, it was like, there wasn't a lot of fighting games that got released. They were all pretty small releases. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope got Sim Strategy, which was sort of an oddball there. Yeah, not a lot of surprises though. Like I said, mostly picked between Elden Ring and God of War. Everything was quickly picked up. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom got for most anticipated because that's supposed to be coming out soon. I don't know that would be most anticipated on my list, but I do understand where a lot of people are anticipating that one.
Oh yeah, Zelda is one of those game franchises that has a very rabid following.
Yeah.
So that doesn't shock me at all. That and there's not a whole lot of buzz of games coming out other than Diablo that I'm even anticipating playing.
Yeah. Well,
so,
you did point one out that came from this that did sound pretty interesting, and that was the Armored Core 6 trailer, which was just cinematic. But you guys were telling me Armored Core was really fun. I'm not big into mech games, but I love customization, and supposedly Armored Core has had a lot of customization in the past.
I love my mecha games, all the way back from BattleTech on the PC to playing Mech Assault 1 and 2. I've been playing MechWarrior Mercenaries 5 recently. But the thing about Armored Core is it's not your standard big clunky mech that's going to be, walking through trees and blowing stuff up. It is fast-paced. You have all kind of different builds, whether it be a melee, a swift build, or a heavy gun build. You can have short range, long range to fit different play styles. The one thing that I don't remember is if Armored Core 4 and 5 even had multiplayer. It's not something that I even remember looking at because no one but me played mecha games. I think Q eventually picked up Armored Core 4 and
I played
Armored
Armored Core 2, 3, and 4, but I don't remember if there was multiplayer or not.
But if it has a multiplayer for a mecha game, you won't see me and Q play anything else probably for a month or two. And then after he quits, I will probably still be playing it because it's funny. And Q pointed this out a couple of days ago when we were talking about this. I don't do anime. I don't really watch any anime at all, and he was shocked that how much fun I have playing Armored Core. But no, I love my mecha games. It's a very, very challenging game. It's not for the problems I have with Hades. People have similar problems with this game because it takes a while to get used to the mechanics of the fighting styles. So but because I love mecha games so much, I put the time in to learn how to play, and I enjoyed it. It was great, and the customization, like you said, if it's going to be a city map, I'm going to probably get a faster melee mech because you have a lot more cover versus an open area. It's going to be assault from a distance and then finish them off short range. So it is a game that I will probably get day one, unless the reviews are just so bad that it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I definitely want to play a good mecha game because I've been stuck on Mercenaries 5 for a while. And I finally deinstalled it, but I love me some mecha games.
Well, Armored Core is more my speed. I like the high speed combat. I like the skill ceiling. So if this plays like the previous games, this should be a lot of fun. Now, like I said, it isn't even so much that the game's hard, but like for people like us that want to, like, for example, I think it was Armored Core 4 to become the top pilot. We had to defeat the other pilots. It was hell. It was a fight, man. The mother suckers weren't playing. So I also like games that offer a lot of challenge and then have that elite, that you can pursue to be like, I want to be the best of the best. So,
and I'll probably just spend most of the game tweaking the.
Dude, there was a lot of play when I played it, and Bloodaxe said it's the same thing on 5. So I'm expecting there's definitely going to be quite a bit of get it just right, the amount of heat you can handle, get everything right there. And
if it's not multiplayer, I probably will end up streaming a lot of it on Twitch, because definitely want to get some video out there. But gosh, if it's multiplayer and we can all 2 or 3 get together, it's going to be a slobber knocker for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, if all 3 of us get together, it would be fun to for once we get into it, actually come up with the 3-way build comparison just to see how all 3 of us built differently.
We'll find a game that can handle all 3 of us. It'll happen. One day.
One of these days.
You'll actually get to see all 3 of our builds next to each other. It'll happen.
All right, well, we're running up on the time. We do have one last story that we'll hit up real quick, and this is a bit of a entertainment drama, I guess. A
great offense to Bloodaxe in particular, given his favorite movies.
Yeah. So Jennifer Lawrence clarifies her remark about female lead action. So basically what she had said, apparently, which pissed a ton of people off, was that I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in a lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work, we were told.
Oh, yeah.
So Hunger Games apparently was the first female-led action film that worked.
On top of that. No, it didn't. It sucked. On top of that, like, I would not hold that up as an example. You want to see a good female action movie? Hunger Games is the place to go. Strong female character. I mean, Hal, you have to be really strong to decide, do I want the guy I grew up with who's nice or the bad boy? It fails the Bechdel test. Bloodaxe's favorite movies do not fail the Bechdel test. Go ahead, man. Tell him.
So when I first saw this, I sent out a link to everybody and didn't get a response. So the next day I called Q. I said, did you see this stuff? And I'm trying not to curse, but, And he's like, what'd she do now? And I told him what she said, and he went off the deep end. And we started rattling off, movies from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And she said that no one before, was it 2002 or whenever the Hunger Games came out, bothered to have, or they were too afraid to have a female lead. I'm like, I didn't even realize earlier in my life that Aliens, my favorite movie of all time, had a female lead. You know why? it was a naturally good movie, and they didn't make a point to point it out. So, yeah, I mean, there are several movies that have strong female characters. You know, all the way from Labyrinth with Jennifer Connelly, or if you want to go with Salt and Tomb Raider, or even Kill Bill. I mean, that's phenomenal. Two movie series that had strong female leads. And
Underworld,
furthermore,
three-parter.
Yeah, exactly. And I would even classify Hunger Games as an action film. It's more like an adult drama. I mean, a young teenage
Fifth
drama.
Element was brought up. That was a good movie.
Element.
That's
questionable whether or not she'd be considered a lead or not.
She's got to be one of the leads. She was the most important character in the movie.
I mean, Sarah O'Connor in Terminator.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, insult to Sigourney Weaver, Linda Hamilton, Angelina Jolie. What's the Tilda Swinton? Just like, wow, you think you were it, Jennifer?
Yeah, no.
And Hunger Games, that's the friggin' epitome of action.
Now, she did come back and she did go, oh, that's certainly not what I meant to say at all. I know that I'm not the only woman who has ever led an action film. I meant to emphasize how good it feels, and I meant that with Viola.
When she was coming up, Hunger Games was one of the most popular book series out there. Actually, what I'm offended by is I'm tired of this. You know, we were told by this mysterious masked sexist that ran around to every little girl and grabbed her and said, "You'll never be shit. You can't do movies." Because I'm tired of hearing this. Who is this masked villain? Because I don't ever know anyone that's ever said it.
All right.
I'm tired of them claiming that people said this to them. No one said this to her in her whole life.
I wouldn't say no one.
Ever,
I'm sure there's some dickweed out there who possibly said it, dude. There's
not a director or anybody that actually does movies. If you're listening to the hobo on the corner, then yeah. You walk by a hobo, girls can't do movies.
Weinstein may have said it. Who knows?
Weinstein was putting them in movies. What are you talking about? I was like, I'll put you in an action movie.
Yeah, but you had to... Never mind. So let's...
I'm just tired of this victim syndrome where they keep making these claims that might have been true in the 70s, but her age, how young she started Hunger Games, this hasn't been accurate for 22 years minimum.
And I will say that
22 years minimum, that has not been a true statement.
I didn't think that the first Hunger Games was horrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. They just got worse. But
it was an interesting concept, but it did not catch my interest. And I think actually the boy Peter was the one that really just kind of like, okay, I'm checking out. This is just ridiculously stupid. I mean, how dumb can you possibly be? And it wasn't anything with her performance, but the film did not interest me. I was not the target audience. Now you switch to some other films like Maze Runner, again, similar target audience, but it was an interesting movie. So
Maze Runner was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. So don't be tooting your own horn like that. Let other people do it for you. You go out there, you make a great film, and let other people brag about your success and how you're a strong female character. Don't do it. Don't be that narcissistic bitch that wants to go off out there.
I mean, you're talking to Alan Davis and you're tooting your own horn. You're supposed to be congratulating someone else.
I mean, the second quote, no one would have said anything about. If she would have just said, it felt great being a female lead in an action movie, you know.
Yeah, then we would have just teased her and said that wasn't an action movie, but that would have been more of a joke. I mean,
well, that would have been perfectly fine. Yeah. You know, I mean, even she could have said, I was one of the pioneers for a teen female lead. Okay, I could drink that Kool-Aid because a lot of the other examples we've given are older women versus, you know, a young teenager. Okay, cool. You know what? No problem with that. But they were too afraid to put anybody else in a female lead action movie because, you know, people can identify as men as an action lead, not as a woman. You're full of shit. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, anybody that watches our show knows how much I talk about aliens. And it didn't even occur to me that it was a female lead because it was a great film.
Dude, how excited was I when I saw Sigourney Weaver was going to be in Defenders. You remember, you go way back, and when Sigourney Weaver was in Defenders, I go, it's Sigourney Weaver. That's a badass. Like, immediately got very excited because she's no joke. Heck, if it wasn't for all the other stupid stuff they did, it was great seeing Linda Hamilton come back for Terminator. It's a shame that they decided to screw over what they did in that movie.
Well,
but
no,
it was great
to
see her back.
If for the same reason as, we were talking about Hades 2 earlier, for a narrative, for a narrative, it's not, I have no problem with, as long as it's a good narrative and it feels real, and you're not trying to force some stupid, inconceivable bullshit down my throat, then no. Who cares?
Terminator would
tell
not
me a good
work.
damn story. That's
Terminator would not have worked if it had been a dad instead of a mom. It worked because of who it was. The change in Terminator 2 was magnificent. It wouldn't have worked. It works because some stories need the certain genders because it changes the entire story. It changes every element.
Well, dude, that also comes down to, once again, like we often speak to to realism and majority. You don't see as many single fathers as you do single mothers. So it becomes immediately more relatable, to reality.
And Q is right. I mean, having Linda Hamilton change from, the waitress who, is scared and has to be put into a situation and she has to fight for her life to, okay, I know these are real, and then goes off and becomes an absolute badass. Work with a guy. And the same thing with Aliens, because you went from Ripley, who was, a space merchant on a trading vessel, lost her daughter, and in Aliens, whenever they found Newt, she took over that motherly instinct of, okay, she's been captured, I'm going to go and save this little girl, because of the guilt she felt after, not being back for her daughter, and her daughter passed away before she returned. That wouldn't have worked with the dude, because then it'd be kind of like the big muscle-bound guy going and saving the girl. No, it's a mothering story, and it's something that would not have worked had you swapped out the gender. But again, no one called out the gender. It was just an organically well-told story.
But apparently somebody's running around grabbing little girls and picking them up and yelling in their face, "You can't do this!"
All right.
Let's do a fan art contest. Draw the famous evil sexist man who's running around and grabbing little girls and yelling this stuff in their face. Poor Jennifer Lawrence. You can't.
Show me which genre of movies he said you couldn't play in. Just touch it. Never mind. I'll shut up.
Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can go to Dicejunkies.com and find links everywhere we are online: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. And be sure to join us every Sunday at 3:30 Central Time, live on YouTube. Join us in the chat room. Thanks for watching. As every week,
we hope